Welcome to Board Game Archaeologists, where we play time-worn games from the past. I'm Hunter.
I'm Rob.
And today we're playing Cap the Hat.
Cap the Hat from Whitman, 1965, just a couple years after I was born. We have a game that's made for the 5 to 12-year-olds and 2 to 4 players.
Yeah, the objective of the game is to capture as many of the opponent's hats as you can and being the last player to be playing.
Right, and much like Trouble and Sorry and those Aggravation and those games that have the 4-color setup, this has that 4-color setup of nice little plastic pieces that fit over each other and a nice board and box with some really cool retro art on it. And it's not retro for the time because it was 1965 and cool art.
How you play is essentially, each player rolls, highest person goes. And then from there, essentially, you roll the die and you move your people out similarly to like a Sorry. But unlike that, you can move in any direction. So, for example, you can go straight out, left, right, and you can choose to go backwards later on. Yep. So you're really free to move in whatever space you want. Really, one of the only nuances about the game is that any space that is colored, whether it's your color, whether it's a different color, those are safe zones.
Yep,
as
and
many people can be there as fit.
Yep. And yep, that's the safe zone. Otherwise, it's very easy to go. It's just rolling the dice and kind of chasing each other down and hoping that you don't roll the wrong number. But we had a fun time playing it. It gets a little exciting because you get down to either that 1 or 2 players. And I was ahead the last game. I was ahead by 2, and you came out and kind of took me over. So everything kind of works pretty quickly. And it's a die game, right? So it's luck. It's whatever your dice roll is how this game's going to play out.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of skill to it other than just remembering where all the pieces are and going, yep, a 5 gets me that one, a 2 gets me that one, or, a 3 puts me in a safe place.
Yeah, the instructions are super short, super easy. There's a couple things you don't know. So if you're on the same space, you get to cap them automatically. Because once you take somebody in a space and then you re-leap on them, now you own them and you get to break out, and now you've got 2 players there. So if somebody lands on it or somebody, we weren't 100% sure because the instructions are very, very tight.
Would I go here to release my guy, or would I go here? But you would think you would go here, but then if you go here,
then you freed that like we did.
Yeah,
and then does it cover the blue or does it free float? And we just decided to free float it for at least that turn.
Yeah.
And I know it's safe on the safe zones, but we had to make that call because the instructions aren't quite complete in that area.
We do love brief instructions. That being said, though, you do need just enough to get everything working. So there was a little bit of room, a wiggle room in what was it or wasn't acceptable. We did what made the most sense to us, and I think the board game probably intended for people to do so.
Right, and as long as everybody agrees on the same rule, it's fair. And everybody plays the same rule, it's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely one of those experiences where I think to get the most out of it, you'd have like 4 people playing. That being said, the way that they talk about 4 players does not seem to actually, like the partner playing the instructions, doesn't actually seem to treat them all like individuals, but that 2 people kind of team up. So it's like 2 people versus 2 people, which is kind of like a funny... I
think you could do it either way.
Yeah.
I think you can all go just solo, which I think would be crazy fun.
That would be the best way.
I mean, you have options all over the place. Somebody's going to be jumping on somebody, and you can stack double high, triple high, so you can really be taking people back as you're going, and whoever makes it back first is the one that gets to keep everything below it. But remember, you get to release your own once you save yourself.
So if this captures this, then this comes off so that like this, it's like that. But once you get 3 colors, that's where things get funky, because then if you can have a situation where you have something like that. And for that, if this yellow person goes on, they can capture more blue, more red. So long as they're not freeing one of their own people, that can technically just get bigger and bigger.
Right, and all they have to do is get it back to their castle, and once they get it back to the castle, they get to break theirs off, and they get to start over again. They're like free pawns again, but nobody that's been captured in the castle can be saved. And so you can, and you don't really have to run them back to the castle. You could just be offensive and just try to stack as high as you can.
Yeah.
The problem is you're going to eventually get stacked yourself. Because no matter, I mean, it's a running game, and how you roll the dice is how you're going to get back.
Yeah, if you start off like 5 spaces ahead and you're trying to get back to your castle, if you roll any more than a 1, you may as well stop chasing.
Yep.
So that's one of those limitations, especially with like 2 people, where it's like once a person's kind of out of range, you're kind of like, ooh.
Yep. And the colored safety spaces are really awesome. We used them all the time. Whenever we were close to them, we'd make sure just to hop on them just to keep safe. And that way you'd have that one person that's safe that you can just kind of decide what to do with as the game kind of progressed.
And it's one of the things that I think would make it a good multiplayer game is that, like, in a lot of these things, you don't want people who are, like, picking on people or, like, this game makes it very opportune to get whoever the dice rolls on.
Yep.
So it's one of those situations where if you have, a bunch of stuff, you start making mental notes of, like, okay, this is 5 away, this one's 3 away. So there's going to be a point in time where you go, oops, sorry, essentially, and, like, get someone who you might not want to get, but, like, it's too opportune not to.
Right. It is. It's a luck game, but fun and quick and easy to teach youngsters.
Yeah. Definitely decent. But yeah, very enjoyable. It doesn't have like a ton of art going on, but I do remember you were saying it's like the style of it where it's very minimal, not that touched up.
Yeah, it's like fractured fairy tales and stuff like that from the 60s where it's it's out of the lines. The artwork's a little more of that Mod Podgey cut artwork like on the cover and on the inside, a little bit like the artist from Cinderella, kind of that cool move. It would have been nicer to have a lot more art, but it's a very simple game. And really, it's what you get is what you see right here.
I don't know how it's like there's like the knights and the dragons, and I'm not sure how it all ties together, especially with the cover.
Right, and
okay.
We had it as kids. I remember this game, so when I saw it, it was like, I'm just going to get it, even though I'm not sure I care for it. But I remembered playing it as a kid, and I'm glad I did because the art really brought back memories to it, even just the box and the feel of the characters.
But yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah, and if you want to know more about us, check us out at toyarchaeology.com. You can also find us on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe and like us on YouTube.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.